Mhm. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Riley Puddin Peters. Usually, I'd be coming to you live with the doctor, defensive backs quality control coach, Preston Rowe, but he was out on special assignment. So you're going to hear from him later on the TTT late night wrap up. So this time, you've got a solo Puddin live stream. We're in here, man. We're in here. It was a crazy, crazy day of college football and a slate that gave us not a lot of matchups. Obviously, some of the bigger teams in the stem where it's time that you're seeing teams play like big teams. We have conference championships a couple weeks away. Some teams are playing some weaker teams, few big matchups, but here we are. I guess there's no better way to start it than starting with number one. I mean, this Oregon versus Wisconsin matchup. This is one where, this is one of those games where you expect Oregon to dominate. Coming right out of the gate. This is Oregon, the number one team in the country. My pick to win a national championship. It's insane. 16-13 being the final score between these two teams is not what you expect in the outcome. But got to give it to the Wisconsin Badgers because they came to play football, man. Wisconsin is a perennial team, like perennial powerhouse. They're a team that's known. They've had their ups, they've had their downs. Actually, I guess they're more like a perennial middle, not powerhouse. It's more of a fair term. But Oregon, this is the team right now. The Ducks are the squad, and the Wisconsin Badgers. They definitely did. They did a great job keeping them from just doing what they do to most people, which is beating the absolute poop out of them. And you're looking at Dylan Gabriel, 22 for 31 for 218. Solid play. Did have an interception with no touchdowns. Uh, I mean, very important that he keeps himself consistent, keeps going, but they have an excellent run game to control. So, everything, if Dylan Gabriel isn't showing up, they consistently can rely on people like Jordan James, 25 carries, 21 yards, and a touchdown. He was averaging 4.8 per carry. Dylan Gabriel himself got a couple. It says 11 for 7, but he had a couple long ones. You got to balance it out with the sacks as it goes. That run game, being able to show up when it matters is really, that's the difference maker for what this Oregon team is. Dan Lanning, we've talked about him a bunch. I've talked about him a bunch. He's an excellent coach, a top tier coach. He knows how to go out and get bubs, get the big dudes to line the trenches, and he's going to go try to win. And, that goes for both sides. While we're here, man, we got to talk about Mateo Uwe Ungalale, little brother of DJ, young concrete, as they call him out in the day. He had 5 tackles he got a sack and a tackle for loss. He takes the leading spot on the team for sacks. He leads the team in sacks this season. He's had a great season so far. He's one of those top. This kid was a 5-star. His brother was a 5-star. He was a 5-star. They come out of California. This is a Dan Lanning get, a young guy. I'm pretty sure this is only his sophomore season. So this is, sophomore season. So this is definitely, these are the kind of picks that Dan Lanning's out there bringing in. And these are the kind of picks that we are, that we're seeing make the difference for Oregon. So, also, wow, he got the interception. That's sick. On the other side for Wisconsin, quarterback Braden Locke, 12 for 28 for 96 yards. Didn't even pass the century mark. That's a big one for the quarterback. You know, if you're not passing the century mark, it's probably not that great of a game for you. One touchdown, one interception. The run game, you know, Tawee Walker, he shows up 20 carries for 97 yards. Not bad, averaging 4.9, technically averaging more than Jordan James. A longer long as well, but that kind of goes against you. When you only run for 97 yards, 22 of them came on one play. That means you actually went 75, 19 carries for 75 yards, which is a less impressive number, unfortunately. And their defense, you know, both teams finished with 2 sacks. The Oregon secondary, you know, that team is all about speed. So, you know, speed kills for them, pass deflections. You know, they're in the secondary trying to stop anything from happening, nothing big. Keep teams just in the zone, in their zone where they want them to stay. You know, don't let them get out, nothing too deep, everything in front of you. We have, you know, too much speed to be killed. That's the Duck motto. They're just kicking their legs as they go. They're just always moving. But yeah, man, I mean, Oregon, once again, this was my pick to win the national championship back in July when we were talking about, you know, the season hasn't even started yet, early predictions. And we've said it a million times, the slow start, it was scary. But right now, I mean, sitting at 11-0, 8-0 in the conference, they're top of the Big Ten. You know, it's something that we kind of expected to hear. You know, they beat Oregon State. They've rode through all of the competition that's come after them. They beat Ohio State instead of Oregon State. They beat Ohio State, beat Illinois pretty handedly. I don't even think that wasn't even one, but Illinois is ranked. You know, another big game that everybody thought for this season was going to be Michigan. Obviously, was not as big of a game, is not as big of a game this season. But, you know, that's another team that they went in there and they went into the big house and won. That's a big challenge. They had an early season matchup against Boise State that a lot of people scoffed at when they barely walked out. Now that looks more impressive because of how good Boise State has shown up to be with Ashton Genty in the backfield, just absolutely tearing it up. So Oregon, man, they're in a good spot. They just got to keep rolling. Got to keep rolling. It's the most important thing. All right. We got to go to another one. They have any fun videos? Always hate when ESPN doesn't have fun videos for these games. You know, it's hard. Obviously, I can go on YouTube and get like the big chunk, like all highlights of a whole video. But one, like we just end up watching that in the background as we're, you know, just talking. But also a lot of times those get copyrighted and it's hard to do the copyright stuff. Also, I see a snack pack in the chat. How you doing? What's up, buddy? But yeah, so back to the game that we're at hand. I'm glad they have some fun videos. That was a little tangent. Had to take a little football break. We have Ohio State, the Buckeyes, the number 2 team in the country coming in. You know, you have the number 3 team in the Big Ten, which is crazy that they're number 2 in the country, number 3 in the Big Ten. Obviously, it's because Indiana is undefeated. Obviously, you know, they're so highly ranked because their one loss is versus the number 1 team, Oregon. There's a lot that goes into that stuff that makes me think twice. But, I mean, this is the kind of game that you expect out of Ohio State when they're playing a team like Northwestern. You know, Northwestern's known more for car washes than they are football. And Ohio State is a sound football school, and they showed it today. This is a 2-threat team in the truest sense. Will Howard, you know, he isn't maybe one of the great super quarterbacks of Ohio State's, you know, lineage. Obviously, there's some legendary names that came out of that school, but Will Howard can ball. And if you give him opportunities, you give him time, the offensive line blocks well, he is going to put up numbers. And he did that today, 15 for 24. 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, 95.9 QBR, very solid, very, very solid. But the other side of this is we have a dual threat running back attack. Judkins and Travion Henderson. I mean, it's so challenging to stop two running backs that are top talents. I mean, these guys would go and dominate alone on other squads. They're together here with a pretty good offensive line. I mean, that's one of those where you're just like, oh, be careful. Don't hurt them too bad. 33 carries as a team for 137. That's including, a big negative play by Emeka Ibuka on a little wide receiver try. But listen, Dr. Preston isn't here, but his spirit always is, because Jeremiah Smith balled out again. I know he'd want me to say it, and I'm going to. Jeremiah Smith, he four receptions for 100 yards. I mean, how crazy. He did the 4 quarters, man. Each one could have been a 25. It would have been sick. But now he had the big bomb on the 68. Jeremiah Smith, an absolute baller. I know we have to well, let's watch the disastrous punt. Listen, this is the other aspect of football that you can't mess up. I mean, special teams. Special teams is so key. Once again, Dr. Preston isn't here, but his spirit lives on. And the concept of beamer ball, the all everlasting idea that special teams is a maker or breaker. And at this point in the game, Northwestern, like they were in this game. I mean, sure, it was not, there's plenty of time left in the game. Not a lot had been played, but a play like that will just ruin all your momentum and lead to something easy. I mean, it's just an easy touchdown. No worries. Laissez-faire. They don't have to do much. I mean, it's just. And then, of course, I love this. This is something that you're starting to see in football, in modern college football, is that teams are resorting to some old school techniques. And, this right here, I mean, this formation is as old as the dirt that they used to play the football on. I mean, this is just line up, get as many guys as you can in tight, and just go right at them. I mean, that's just line up and win football. And when you have running backs like they do, I mean, that's what they like to do. That's what they did this game. Don't forget, they have Jeremiah Smith. They have Emeka Ibuka, these superstars at wide receiver that will absolutely ball out. And, listen, Carnell Tate, the 2-touchdown performance, 4 catches, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a performance that, I mean, everybody wants to have. We've been talking about Jeremiah Smith. We've been talking about Emeka Ibuka, Carnell Tate. He says, talk about me some. I need some attention. Don't forget me. And, got to respect that. Got to respect it. That was the second touchdown. This is back to this. This is the first one that we watched. I was kind of yapping over it. That was a great view there. That dude's back was beautiful. I mean, that's a great catch. Wow. It just makes you go, I wish I had guys like that on my team. But, there's really not much more to say besides that, though. Ohio State handles their work. They show up. They go to Northwestern, and, they run them through the car wash. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. All right. We got Texas versus Arizona. I mean, this is another one where you're like, I expect the outcome. This is honestly more in line with that Oregon-Wisconsin game, though, where you have a top team going against a middling team, and you expect it to be more of a blowout when it was kind of a close game. But respect where respect's due. Arkansas, I mean, that's an SEC team. That's a middling SEC team. So that means they could beat the crap out of most teams from most other conferences. Let's not get that twisted. Let's keep that straight in your mind because it is truly I mean, the SEC, those teams, even in the middle, even at the bottom, like they're still very good, very, very good teams. And you see that today. Texas, a little bit of a slide recently. And to me, it's one of those things where it's almost like they're trying to skate to the end of the year. I mean, that's really like one of the hardest things that you worry about when you have a team that is so good, like a Texas, like an Oregon, like an Ohio State, like any of these top teams. Shoot, even like a BYU, who we find out later, goes the opposite of this. One of the hardest things is keeping yourself playing at like such a high level. It's not easy to be one of these top football teams. I mean, these kids practice hard, they go through a lot. Um, there's a lot of work and a lot of effort that goes into being an elite athlete. And so, these guys, it takes a lot of work to get there. And sometimes the hardest thing about it is just keeping up with it. If you're absolutely smoking every team you step on the field with, you probably get to the point where you're like, I mean, do I have to show up? Do I have to do this stuff? Now, this right here, Sark and this Texas offense, I mean, that's absolutely dastardly work. Wow. I mean, you want to talk about it almost looks too fake to be good. I mean, this is almost fake how well this works out. Need a little refreshment. Got to get something in them. So they're faking the screen here. And I mean, he holds this for so long. One big up on Texas's offensive line. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, easy 4 seconds, not even pressured. Honestly, probably, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, throws on the 5. 16. I mean, he's there. He's honestly there. He just bites on it in the worst way. If he just stays back, like he's it's almost like he sensed that he needed to stay back, and then he was like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. He second guessed himself because he holds his first step. If he just stays here, doesn't move, they're better for it. He didn't even need to go. His teammate was right there. I mean, you got to trust your teammate. Like you got to trust your teammates to make plays like that. This guy has a guy. He's biting for no reason, and Quinn Ewers sees that, and I mean, he is just watching him, and is like, I mean, I haven't thrown a pass that easy in a while. Got to be honest with you. Delivers it an absolute beam. And then of course, you've got what ends up being, one of the icers of this game here. Arkansas in a all right drive, about to get into the field goal range, and a big fumble. They put one on the deck, and that's if you're an underdog squad playing a top team like Texas and you're playing them close late, these are just heartbreakers. But they often end up being the difference between those top teams and those middle teams because the top teams have players that can make incredible plays like this. I mean, that's a defensive lineman who on a tunnel screen, got his butt out there and got a big old bear paw onto that wide receiver and made him drop it. I mean, listen, the wide receiver could work out as much as he wants, but that defensive lineman is twice, maybe even three times his size, and definitely at least double the appetite. And he just absolutely rips it right from him. And we've got to give Arkansas just a little bit of love. I mean, this is power, dude. Line up. They got a fullback. This is old school football. We're on the line. I mean, that Texas defensive line is no joke, and they went right at them. That's impressive. That's good work out of Arkansas trying to make them stuff. All right. Boom, boom. Okay. The last of the dominating top teams, Penn State, they absolutely give it to Purdue. I mean, this is one where it's, we'll be here for a second, but, you know, starting quarterback, he puts up 247, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Warren, the all-star, can do it all. He runs 3 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown, 8 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. Um, um, this team, this Purdue obviously 1-9, 0-7 in the Big Ten. Not a great team this season. And Penn State does what you're supposed to do to a team that's not good. That's the thing is like playing not good teams is one thing, but if you are going to play those teams, if they're going to be on your schedule, which, obviously this is a conference game, so it's, not like Penn State scheduled this game intentionally, but, if this is what it's going to be, then you gotta, you gotta beat those teams, gotta beat them handedly. Yo, wow. What? That's crazy. He was hella out of bounds. Why are you Oh man, out of bounds because he thought he was in the black. That's crazy. Wow. I missed that. Let's see, Warren. I mean, this is a guy. If Travis Hunter, the absolute freak of nature, and then Ashton Genty, the legendary guy, if they didn't exist in this season, I think Tyler Warren would be someone that a lot of people would be talking about for Heisman because this dude can do it all. I mean, they line him up out of the Wildcat as the Wildcat quarterback. He's a tight end, I think, by trade. Runs the ball a good bit out of their offense. He's just a do it all kind of guy, and he's smart runner. He's a smart runner. He's a gritty runner. He's a real lunch pail kind of guy. He shows up and just goes to work. Does what he's supposed to do. Real gritty guy. But there's really not much to it, man. They went against a lesser opponent, team that had to go through 3 quarterbacks. What happened to Purdue? Probably, I mean, nothing good. Obviously, this is not a great team. Had a great play for us one time long ago. Showed it last week. Hope you enjoyed. But yeah, dude, Penn State absolutely dominating the way they should. Nittany Lions are rolling. See if they can get themselves a spot in the playoff. That'd be big for them. All right. We've got the first in a slate of upsets. This one, probably the most shocking to me. Kansas upsetting BYU. The Cougars come in undefeated on a roll. Honestly, if we go look at their schedule and how they've played, I mean, obviously they had a very close game against Utah. That Utah team is a decent team. I mean, obviously it hasn't really worked out for them, at 4-6, 1-6 in the conference, but historically it's a very good program, very good team, very good program. So play them close. Kind of hand it to UCF. Close game, but they definitely win it against Oklahoma State. They beat Arizona. They beat Baylor. They beat Kansas State. They beat Wyoming. They are SMU's only defeat as well. SMU, who's right now on a tear as well. And the ACC, what? The ACC, what? Crazy. So they've had a season where they've just been kind of rolling, doing well. A team that a lot of people are like, oh wow, you gotta watch out for those Cougars out there in Utah. But Kansas, man, let's just, we gotta watch some of the ice here. Shuts them down, dude. That's the most important 4th and 11 that Kansas has ever played. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. This was by the way, this was in Utah, man. This was an away game for Kansas. They went into BYU Stadium and they beat them like that. Just, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, BYU? It's crazy. This is usually a pretty consistent team. If they're gonna kind of self-destruct, it tends to be earlier in the season. They tend to play tight, relatively disciplined squad out there. So very surprising to see them just absolutely blow one to a team like Kansas, who's, you know, not really known for being a football school, period. Really not that great of a team this year as well. And I mean, dude, BYU actually absolutely smokes them in the numbers. Um, I mean, they throw for 192, they run for 162 as a team. Kansas, I mean, barely matching those numbers. Let's see the total yards numbers. Yeah, 192 for BYU, 169. Oh, that's passing. No, I need total. 359 or 354 for BYU, 242 for Kansas, over 100 yards more for BYU. Um, Same penalties though. Two turnovers. Obviously, those are going to be the ones that kill you. Say it a million times. Turnovers want to kill you. They dominated possession though. Similar third down efficiencies. If not, Kansas once again being a little worse. This is a game that BYU's got to win. I mean, they got to win it. Just timely turnovers. You can, some teams can turn the ball over a bunch of times and win because the turnovers they give are just garbage, weird times. But yeah, nah, you can't. If you're in a close game, that's just every turnover is going to mean so much more, and it's going to be so much harder to respond to them. So, gotta keep playing, man. Got to keep playing through those. BYU still the top of the conference, makes it a little bit closer though. Looks like the date between BYU and Colorado is slowly working itself into existence. Excited to see the Buffaloes and the Cougars meet for a conference championship. That'll be a good game. Crazy upset though, man. I mean, absolutely insane upset. Did not expect to see that one on my radar. Yeah, I don't know what to say. So, in light of that, we're going to go to what was the college game day game of the week. I mean, very, very important. Everybody was out in Georgia, in Athens for this game. Number 12, Georgia. That feels weird to say. Number 12, Georgia feels real weird to say. Number 12, Georgia versus number 7, Tennessee. The Bulldogs versus the Volunteers. And, Georgia just, after a very, very close first half, came out and won the second half very handedly. I mean, 100%. 14 unanswered points in the second half. Not a lot, though, but these are two top teams. I mean, Tennessee's defense is very good. So, Georgia did what it had to do to win. And, looking at some of the numbers, Carson Beck, this is the Carson Beck you expect to see. This is the Carson Beck that you need to see as a Georgia fan. 25 for 40, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's obviously the most important part. Backs it up with 3 rushes for 32 yards and a touchdown as well. This is what you need to see from Carson Beck. And, not a big running game from them. Nate Frazier, he only gets 68 yards. They only run for 106 as a team anyways. Do get 2 touchdowns, including that, like I said, a Carson Beck touchdown. So, that's big. But a passing game for them. A big passing game. Lots of guys, 25 catches. Let's see, 6, 9, 10 guys catching 25 passes. That's a good spread. I mean, that's going to make it so hard for other teams to try to stop you because it's who's going to get the ball. Anybody can get the ball at any play. You're not forcing it to anyone, so that's big. And, Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback for Tennessee, has an all right game, not a great game, loses a fumble, low completion percentage, 20 for 33. Obviously, I mean, it's over 50%, but, they're throwing the ball a lot. And it feels like when they're throwing the ball a lot and, he has that kind of completion record, they're usually losing. This is a team that I personally think should hang the hat on Dylan Sampson a little bit more. But against a team like Georgia, and I was watching this game, that Georgia front, I mean, they're a hard team to run the ball against. So I understand wanting to try to open it up with passing and all that. But, 19 carries for 101 yards from Dylan Sampson in a game where they lose kind of big and really have a stagnated second half. I mean, I think you got to try to, whatever you can, try to get that kid the ball more. And I think that's going to be the make or break for them. So let's see. I mean, this is London Humphreys, a relatively unknown player on this roster. I guess that's kind of hard to say. All these Georgia players are top talents. An unknown player on Georgia would go and be an absolute stud anywhere else. But not one of the guys that you expect to see. Like Nate Frazier, you expect to hear a name like that. Trevor Etienne, who didn't play much this game. Maybe not even at all. Those are the kind of names you expect out of them. And, them starting to spread the ball, especially late in the season after a couple losses. I mean, it's big. Look at this power, though. I mean, just gave them just enough to squeak. Just squeak. I'm going to get right there. That's me. Oh, squeak. All right. Carson Beck keeps it himself for a Georgia touchdown. I bet you he did. He's like, nope, don't touch me. I'm close to the edge. I mean, that's good play out of him. It's good work out of the quarterback. It's good to see. It's good to see Carson Beck in this Georgia offense kind of get back in. I think, if they can get back to running strength like they have been, that'll be good for them. Dylan Sampson, I mean, this is it right here, dude. That's it. This is why you want to give the guy the ball, man. He can make this. I mean, like I said, this is a good Georgia defense. And I mean, one play, bloop, bloop. I mean, couple bad plays, but yeah, nah, man. Absolutely, yeah, nah. This game was just a lot of sniffing butts, just like Ugga, and Smokey. A bear and a dog. Bear down. Got to volunteer. Look at this, though. I mean, this is great blocking from this Tennessee offensive line. Just what you need to break open your star running back and get them into the end zone. That's all you got to do, dude. But it's not enough. It's never enough. Tennessee, they fall to Georgia. Georgia, I mean, I think more actually, Georgia steps up and beats Tennessee. They needed this, dude. They needed this. An 8-2 season for Georgia being so bad is kind of crazy, but 8-2 is bad for them right now, and it's looking like a Texas A&M SEC championship, which is also a ridiculous thought. The SEC is an absolute bloodbath. Super League. It's a massacre. You got Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, like all these teams are taking shots at each other. South Carolina is out there trying to make everybody upset by upsetting someone. I mean, they made so many good teams go to the wire against them. LSU is underperforming with a team that everybody expected to be very good. So yeah, dude, the SEC. I mean, it's always going to be a bloodbath when you have teams that are so good, like so many teams of that caliber. You gotta expect it to be just absolute warfare all season. Take a little drink break right there. Honestly, as to take a little drink break and we're sitting here in between games, I would just like to remind everybody, please like, comment. Most importantly, though, subscribe to the channel, man. We're trying to grow this channel. We're trying to keep this, getting bigger. More subscribers we have, the more cool stuff we're able to do. Just please keep on liking, commenting, subscribing. Stick around, TTT. We always got cool stuff going on. So check us out. Keep checking us out. Go follow us on Facebook. Look up the Trash Talk Tailgate on all your social medias. You'll find us out there. But back to it, man. Notre Dame, they played Virginia. I mean, Virginia, obviously, last week they had the improbable upset against Pitt. And, going into Notre Dame Stadium, going out there to Indiana, and playing the Fighting Irish, they didn't have it. They didn't captain. They didn't have it this time. They just didn't have it. Uh, Notre Dame is a very good squad. Their only loss is to Northern Illinois, which seems worse than it actually is for some reason. But this is a good team. This is a team that has found its identity. They are a run heavy squad. And they've got a good offensive line, and they get that push, and they can do that, dude. Especially with Jeremiah Love in the backfield, 16 carries for 137 and 2 touchdowns. Riley Leonard, the Duke transfer, he's out there just doing what he's got to do. When the time has come for him to throw the ball, he takes care of it. He did have an interception in this game, but he had 3 touchdowns, 214 yards. They take care of the ball for the most part. They did lose a fumble, but 2 turnovers compared to University of Virginia's 5. Yeah, they lost 2. They fumbled it 5 times, only lost 2. Thank God. But they also threw Anthony Caldera, the starting quarterback. He those 3 interceptions before getting benched for Tony Muskett. What a fun name for a Cavalier too, Tony Muskett. But yeah, man, I mean, Notre Dame, they just shut down everything Virginia was trying to do this game. It was a real outmatch in talent. That's just almost the understatement of the century. Virginia did, I mean, the second half, they clamped down on the offensive explosion a little bit. That was good to see for them, something they really needed to do. But Notre Dame, and there's no video, of course. Notre Dame, they came to play. I mean, the Fighting Irish, they're trying to make their way into a postseason spot. I mean, that's just the easiest thing to say. They really they want to be in the college football playoff, like almost every team, but they have a little bit of a unique route because they're an independent. So, they're doing everything they can to make sure that their name is mentioned at the end of the regular season when that last college football poll comes out. Notre Dame just wants to be there. So, all these games are important to them. And next week they have Army. That's going to be a massive game. They handled Navy 51-14. But Army, they're showing up. I think that Army team is going to be a better team than Navy. Watch me bite my tongue on that. But Army's got a stud at quarterback. And I think that's going to be able to be the difference. If Army can do it, that's going to be the difference. Put it that way. And Clemson, they're going to beat everyone. They're going to beat them. South Carolina is not a great team. Almost lost to Missouri. Who does Missouri have? Luther Burden III. That's it. No one else. Some dude with the last name Cook. Wasn't that good. Didn't play well. All right. More in the way of handlings. I mean, Alabama just handles Mercer. It's one where it's not even funny. Why are you playing Mercer? Mercer's 9-2, and they just get beat 52-7. I mean, what the hell has Mercer played? Yeah. I mean, listen, dude. They beat a lot of squads out there. They beat a lot of them, but they did lose to Samford. They did lose to Alabama. I can't wait to see the Samford Alabama matchup. That's going to be a barn burner. That's the one I'm looking forward to. Jalen Milroe, though, he does what he has to do. Didn't spend a lot of time. It didn't spend all the time out there on the field. They played 4 quarterbacks. They played 4 quarterbacks. That's insane. They had 42 carries by 11 people. 11 people got to touch the ball. That's crazy, dude. Alabama is doing what you got to do, man. You got to go out there and you got to have fun, man. 319 throwing as total as a team with 3 touchdowns. 189 on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Yeah, man. It's a warm-up game. And it's a warm-up game at the end of the season. A warm-up game in cold November. And they got Oklahoma next, followed by Auburn, the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl, game that the the records don't matter in the Iron Bowl. That's one you can just throw away at the end. So yeah, that's going to be a big matchup coming up. But yeah, no, man, Alabama just absolutely steamrolls Mercer. One of those like, why are we even playing that at this time of the year kind of games? But schedules B. Boise State continue their track against San Jose State. Austin Genty, 32 carries for 159 yards and 3 touchdowns. San Jose State, they were early. They were looking all right. I mean, they were there. They were there and they were playing. But, Walker Eget, he just kind of later in the game gave it up. I mean, 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. That's absolutely painful. You can't allow that to happen. He also put one on the deck and lost it. Nick Nash, their star wide receiver, or one of their better wide receivers. He puts one on the deck too. He had 126 receiving with 1 touchdown. Justin Lockhart at 172 receiving with 1 touchdown as well. But Boise State, man, an absolute machine. This is a touchdown scoring machine. And, the defense gets 1. Austin Genty, obviously, he gets 3. And Matto Madison, he gets a throwing one and a rushing one himself. It's just, this is, ridiculous. The Heisman race between Travis Hunter and Austin Genty is ridiculous. Let's watch his 25th touchdown of the year. The standing in the backfield is one of my favorite things in football right now. Him just absolutely standing. This is right here. This is, if you see, man, 21-21 at this point. Obviously, this makes it 28-21. But this is a close game to just not be a close game much after this. So, shouts to Boise State, man. It's a good squad. When they get rolling, they're hard to stop. They definitely did it a little to themselves. Let's go. This is his first touchdown. Just a close one. You can't stop him when it's that close. He's legit. This is a creative player. This is me creating a 99 overall running back and being like, I'm going to go play with him. Wow. Just find the seam, young man. Find the seam, young man. Come on. Let's do it. That's the ice. 42-21, though. Boise State just walk out of that one. Big game for them. Show up and do what they got to do. SMU escaping Boston College. That's a sentence that you didn't think you'd say. But also 14 overall, 9-1 SMU, a sentence that you didn't expect to say. This team is playing very well. They're very, very explosive through the air. The Pony Express, they're back, dude. They've got energy. Where did it come from? Who knows? But they got energy. And, they go out there and they play ball. Both sides of the ball, pretty solid. Very, very fast defense. That defense will, if you're trying quick stuff, lateral stuff, they'll be all over it, man. They're going to fly to the football. They're going to use that speed to their advantage. And, they're going to try to, smother all of those simple attempts, the quick screens, all that kind of stuff they're going to try to do. And then on offense, this is what they're going to do, man. They're going to dial up the big shots. Not a crazy present run game. Not terrible, but, they're not going to hang their hat. They're not going to run the ball 30 times a game. They're going to try to air it out on you, man. They're going to try to use their athletes, and they're going to try to score big touchdowns. And, that's what you got, man. That's what you got to stop with this SMU team. And, it's not really been successful. BYU is the only team that's found a little bit of a recipe for it. Besides that, man, SMU's just been rolling. And, the ACC is very, very, almost shocked at the state when you think about SMU just coming in and clearing up like that. See their opening touchdown. Boom. That's such a cool play. The little wide, it's the RPO, but the PO in that is a wide receiver screen, a little throw out that he takes as he runs. So quarterback can either, hand it off to the running back in the middle, take it himself, boom, or in this case, fake the take it and just boom, wing that thing out there to your wide receiver waiting. Um, and he makes a play and gets in the end zone. That's a great play. I love RPOs like that. They're so interesting. They add that extra dynamic to the game. It's just hard to diagnose. But Kevin Jennings, SMU's quarterback, man, great player. 24 for 35, 298, 3 touchdowns. Had the 1 interception, but hey, man, 3 touchdowns, gets it back. The rushing game, Brashad Smith, hey, he had a big game, 18 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. The 140 is a team. But, yeah, man, they just ball out. And, they got a core group of guys that are very talented, and they go out there and they play. And it's you can't ask much for a team like this. It's in a transition, coming into a new conference, needing to make a name for themselves, stand out instantly. I mean, you can't ask much for a team but this. So SMU, they're absolutely balling. This is a game that leads them. Obviously, next week they got Virginia, probably looking to dominate that game. They're SMU. Don't want to get the pit treatment from Virginia. And then they're finishing it off with California, a team that's really just middling, just in general. But especially in the ACC, 1-5 in the ACC, not doing super great. So these last 2 games, they're expecting to win out. They're expecting to win out and probably win out big. If they can win out big, get all of that momentum going into Charlotte to the ACC championship. I mean, that's big talk for them, dude. It's going to be very important for them. I think as of right now, it looks like it's going to be, a potential matchup with Clemson, but there's lots of ACC football to be played, and Clemson's got to win out. Miami's got to win out to have a chance for themselves. So very, very interesting, an interesting place for SMU to be for sure. Going to move on. Texas A&M absolutely dominating New Mexico State. I mean, you see these stats right there. I guess I'll click in it just for one. But, I mean, this is absolute domination, man. 38-3. There's not much to say. They dominate. They pull their guys, later in the game and let the second strings go. 356 total passing yards, 209 total receiving. Theo Melon Ostrom, he has a 5 catch for 111 yards. No touchdowns though, but still massive game from him. Texas A&M, they've got a path for the end of the season. Yep, they got a meeting with Texas at the end of their season. That's insane considering right now that's the 1-2. like that right there, that's the SEC championship. It's also going to be the last game of the season for both those teams. That's going to be an insane matchup. Texas A&M ranked 15th. They're 8-2. They've only lost to Notre Dame and South Carolina. South Carolina got a spoiling upset against them. We expected that South Carolina team to do it to someone, and they picked Texas A&M. That's who the dice rolled on. So, Texas A&M, dude, they just got to keep tight. You got Auburn next week. Obviously, a team that you can't sleep on. Not doing so great this year, but listen, a historic program. You can never sleep on any SEC team. That's just a fact. Got to stay tight against anybody in that conference. So now we have one of our other. Oh no, never mind. I went way far down. Arizona State beating Kansas State. This. I guess this was one of our other upsets. I was still right. Should have just kept going. Arizona State, they show out. I mean, this is like a decent team. That's the thing, is like not ranked, but 8-2, 5-2 in their conference. This is a solid squad. Cam Scatabo is an absolute dog. 25 carries for 73 yards. It's only 2 average. 25 carries is absolute diabolical work. And that just allows Sam Levitt to just, on the back end of that, absolutely air it out. Jordan Tyson, 12 catches for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. Monster game. This Arizona State team, this is not someone that you want to just casually face on a week when you're trying to be, trying to get a win to get to a next week, or, you got something big coming up, because obviously they're not ranked, but they're a very, very, very good squad. They've got an star stud running back. They've got a pretty good offensive line to back it up, and they got a quarterback that can make the throws that he needs to make to take advantage of that excellent run game. I mean, they're going to run it so much, you're going to have to stop it because if you don't stop Cam Scatterbo, he will just, I mean, he'll tote the rock on you. Big points, Scatterbo. Um, and so, they just lull them in, the classic run heavy playbook, waiting for the play action. And when it hits, you get Jordan Tyson on a big one like this, where it's just boom, that fake toss. Also, I love that toss play out of Arizona State. That was a play action. That is kind of their pin and pull toss is one of their bread and butter run schemes. And I love that play just in general. I mean, I think it's a great play in football. Get a really talented running back out with a little bit of space. If you can get a good pulling lineman with them, that's obviously just a big, big, big gain almost every time. See Jordan Tyson. Obviously, he was a superstar today, so he deserves a little bit of the love. We got a guy like Cam Scatterbo in the backfield taking all the attention, but he's not being able to do much because he's taking all the attention. You need someone like Jordan Tyson and Levitt to stand up, and really just play a good game to take advantage of what the defense is doing. Oh, that's the same play again. It's twice under two different names. That's kind of crazy. I mean, that's an absolutely beautiful play, though. But yeah, I mean, Arizona State just comes in and boxes Kansas State, who at 7-3, I don't think this is a very good 7-3 team. I mean, we've talked about them kind of being disappointing a couple times. They got routed by BYU. They lose they're just lost to Houston, and now they're losing to Arizona State. I mean, this is a team that a lot of people are looking up to be big. But hey, it is what it is, and dice fall, they fall. So, that Big 12 kind of is now shaped up to be more of a BYU Colorado event with Arizona State looking to kind of maybe, if Colorado gets upset or maybe BYU loses another as well, there's a chance that Arizona State could walk themselves into a Big 12 championship spot. And that's kind of crazy to think about, man. Just walking in damn near unranked. All right. Speaking of Colorado and needing to stay undefeated, let's talk about them versus Utah. This is a game that Colorado just walked away with eventually. Big fourth quarter, big first quarter. Shador, 3 touchdowns, did throw a pick, but hey, it happens when you're slinging it 41 times. 30 of 41. That's crazy. 30 of 41. That's big, big work out of Shador Sanders. 340 yards is insane. Obviously, they don't have much of a running game, but Travis Hunter, he had a big catch in this one. Draylon Miller. Draylon has a massive game. Will Shepard also has a massive game with 2 touchdowns. They put the ball on the deck some, but hey, listen, man, 4 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, 5 pass deflections, a defensive touchdown for Wester. I mean, 3 interceptions against Utah. What do you want from Colorado, man? This team is playing ball, dude. Coach Prime has them boys in prime position to have a strong end of the season. Get some Travis Hunter. I mean, obviously Travis Hunter right now, he's a perennial Heisman favorite. You're looking at a guy that can do it all. I mean, look at this run. This is a run. Wow, that was insane. I mean, that should have been in the backfield, stopped in the backfield for like a big loss, like 5 yards, 6 yards. I mean, really, that should have been like 6 yards, if not more, in the backfield. Boom, boom. I mean, this is the Travis Hunter Heisman highlight reel, but I mean, that's a great interception. He's just aware. Great play by the other guy, his other corner there, smacking the ball up to him so he can just be aware, be present, be a great player, grab that, and hey man, boom, he's out. Um, I mean, wow, this Colorado team is absolutely balling, dude. Boom, and then we got him on offense. Shadur's got all the time in the world, but he goes into double coverage. But Travis Hunter doesn't care. He doesn't care. He is an animal. Oh yeah. Gotta watch the Will Shepherds. Ooh, actually, let's watch this one. This one was sick. This is a 40-yard touchdown pass. I mean, this is a bomb. This is one of those when you got a penalty against the other team and you can get to take advantage of it. I mean, this is a fourth down as well, by the way, 4th and 5. That's a play, dude. Will Shepard is a baller. I mean, this is a guy to look out for in the future. You're gonna see him do some big stuff. I mean, that's a great player. Really knows how to play for the ball. Draylon Miller. I mean, this is another big highlight. I mean, Shadur Sanders is a highlight reel, man. They play very consistent. They kind of chip away, but when they start hitting and they start going big, I mean, they go big. It's insane. I mean, this team is so high powered. Prime time, he got that name for being flashy, and his team, I mean, they fit the mold, dude. This is a team that will hit you a lot. I mean, whether it be actual physical, just boom, rocking, boom. The front line finally tuned up. The defensive line, especially. Like I said, though, 9 sacks, right? 9 sacks. Oh no, 4 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. I mean, just great numbers out of them. Colorado continuing to roll. You can't really ask much else from the Buffaloes besides just keeping tight. Actually, I want to go that fast. Boom, let me go click into them real quick. Keeping tight. Don't get spoiled by Kansas. Beat Oklahoma State. If they can do that, they could probably walk into a Big 12 final against most likely BYU or whoever's there, and maybe have a good game and find themselves a spot in the championship. It's what everyone wants to do. New Mexico upsetting Washington State. This is a surprising Washington State team. One of the only teams left in the Pac-12, which is hilarious. But Washington State put up big numbers, but they just, New Mexico State, Devin Dampier, 28 carries for 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's a rushing attack that just wore down Washington State all game. And at the end of it, they were the ones that were able to put it away. And it's easy to do when you get a rushing attack going like that. I mean, that's such a powerful tool, such a hard thing to stop. So, if you're a team that's looking to upset a team, especially if you're at home and you can get the fans on your side, that's it. But, Washington State has a pretty big game just overall. 375 throwing. Kyle Williams, 9 receptions for 181. That's 20 average, 3 touchdowns. Some big numbers out of them, but listen, you're going to lose some if you don't play all the way up. And I mean, this is one where Washington State just lost one to New Mexico, just absolutely driving on them, not being able to stop it. Another upset, literally of the same score, another 38-35 upset. You got Stanford beating Louisville. This is a big upset in the ACC. Louisville's a very good team. 6-4 doesn't say, but they're a very, very good squad. I mean, this is a team that beat Clemson. Lots of close games this season. But yeah, man, Stanford, the trees, after not a very impressive season, they get something that they can rest their laurels on. This is a great time to say, subscribe to the TTT. Don't forget it. Definitely don't forget it. But yeah, man, I mean, it's really not much to say for this one besides, one, Stanford getting a win that they can hang their hat on. I mean, a statement win at the end of the season, something to give them some confidence as they push on and try to rebuild and do better next year in the ACC. But listen, Louisville losing a heartbreaking one that they don't want to lose late, one that kind of really matters to them if they're trying to do anything of significance in the ACC, or even potentially the CF playoff, the college football playoff. So listen, that's a heartbreaker, but you got to win those. If you're Louisville, you got to win those, man. You can't let a team like Stanford come in, give you an upset. Speaking of almost getting upsets, Clemson versus Pitt. This is a game that was won by a walk-off 50-yard touchdown run by Cade Klubnik. I guess not necessarily walk-off, but pretty close to it. And Clemson was winning most of the game 17-7, and then Pitt put up some points to get it to this 17-20, as you see in the highlight as it starts here. And Clemson gets one more drive, and it's really just like they have to make a play. And Cade Klubnik, he steps up and he makes that play. One thing about this game I'll say is I do feel like Clemson was throwing the ball a little bit too much this game. Not enough Phil Maffa and for me. But listen, our team can show up to play. I mean, we threw the ball 41 times for 288 yards. Cade Klubnik was our leading rusher, 10 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown with a long of 50. He only got 41. We had a long of 50. There's some sacks in there. Antonio Williams had a great game. Bryant Westco Jr. has a great game. This team, I mean, the defense, Clemson's defense is what's carrying the team right now. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the defense is absolutely amazing, though. So it's fair that they're the ones that carrying. But it is true. I mean, the defense is showing up game after game, and the offense is really fighting through some stagnating moments here. I mean, Garrett Riley, this offense at times feels like it's just a 3-and-out machine. And I know that's how some of these more explosive offenses be. I mean, like when we feast, we feast. But it feels like more often than not against fast teams, against teams that play very well laterally, we just end up famining a lot. I mean, there's just not a lot. There's a lot of 3-and-outs. I mean, we were 5 for 15 and 3-and-outs, 0 for 1 and fourth down conversions. But our defense, they keep us in the game. And that's, listen, if you got a team that's doing that, also Pitt 13 penalties for 100 yards. At one point, Pitt jumped off, I guess, defensive encroachment. They encroached 3 times in a row. We went from like 3rd and 21 to like 3rd and 6. It was insane. I mean, they got him 3 times in a row, 3 straight plays. Absolutely insane. And Pitt, they possess the ball for a while. Their offense is very grinded out. I mean, they will hold that ball for so long. But it's just at the end of the day, there's not enough touchdown production for as long as they hold the ball. They turn the ball over a lot. They'll 3-and-out a lot. Drive down the field and just not do anything when it matters. Fail to fourth down conversion. Just stuff that's going to hurt you, man. Stuff that's going to hurt you in the long run. You can't do it. You can't let that be what kills you. A missed kick, some interceptions, some fumbles. That's the stuff that's killing Pitt right now. It's what killed him against UVA. It's what killed him against Clemson today. But that's a good win, man. Good win for Clemson. Get us back on track. Keep us rolling. We're still second in the ACC. Barring any catastrophe. But we have the Citadel next, and then obviously the battle for the Palmetto Cup, the South Carolina special, Clemson versus South Carolina, the Tigers versus the Gamecocks. So that's going to be a rocking game. Speaking of the Gamecocks, they got a big win this week. Big win for the South Carolina Gamecocks versus the Missouri Tigers. And I will say this, though, almost lost it at the end. Holy, almost lost this one. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, they were winning this game for most of the game. I mean, Lenore Seller, he came out with some early touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 353 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a pick. I mean, you can throw a pick if you're throwing 5 touchdowns, I got to say. Him and Nick Harbor had a very good early connection on just an absolute bust by Missouri. Oh, God, they're going to bust. Looking at Missouri's defense like, oh, God, they're going to bust. I mean, look at that, dude. I had wide open, dude, almost as wide open as it gets for a guy like Nick Harbor, who's an absolute talent. Nick Harbor, if you remember, he got a bunch of noise around him for being one of the only 99 speed guys on NCAA football. And so a lot of people are talking about him. He's kind of underperformed this season. This is the interception. Just a bad overthrow from Lenore Sellers. I mean, this guy's a very, very good player. This is a very good offense. It just at times, like when they get into a crazy fourth quarter, like they just always, it seems that they're on the bad end of it every time. I mean, let's just watch this. This is 1 minute. And it looks like it's literally just the fourth quarter because the fourth quarter was by far the most exciting part of this game. I mean, literally, yeah, it goes from a 21-22 game to finishing in the 30s of score. I mean, absolutely incredible back shot. I mean, back. Ooh, got a little load. It's buffering. Got a buffer. Bruce Buffer. But yeah, man. South Carolina scores. Missouri scores. South Carolina's got to ice it, and they do. Nice little inside shovel there. It's a good play. Boom, inside shovel. No one expected it. All you got to do is break some tackles, break a lot of tackles. I mean, wow. Insane play. I mean, so South Carolina, I don't even if South Carolina beats Clemson, I still don't like they're just doing that for pride. I don't think it gives them a chance, even a shot at the this CFP. Unfortunately, I do think South Carolina's kind of out of it. You know, even taking 12 teams, I mean, 5-3, 7-3 overall, so sitting so far down in the SEC. South Carolina's going to need a miracle to get in the CFP, but they need to beat Clemson to feel good about themselves. That's just a fact. After a middling season, Florida, they beat LSU in a shocker. Two very not great teams, just not grading it out in that field. Florida walks away, and then Tulane with a 35-0 win over Navy. Tulane's a very good team, though. I mean, kind of an unexpected out of the American Conference, up there with Army. So, they've got a date with Memphis to finish it off, and then most likely a date with Army if they don't blow it too hard in the end. Yeah, man. There's one last thing I guess I got to do before I get out of here, and that is run down the slate of NFL games for today. Packers Bears. I mean, this is a big matchup in Soldier Field. I'm going to take the Packers for this one. I think that's a very solid team. I think they're going to go up into Soldier Field and give one to the Bears. Jaguars at Lions. I mean, we'll take the Lions. Jaguars might as well not play football anymore. Maybe. I think Sunshine is still out. He's nursing a non-throwing shoulder injury. So probably going to take the Lions on that one. Vikings at Titans. Going to go with the Vikings. I mean, so far these kind of overmatched teams. I mean, Vikings though. Definitely, it's a solid squad, and I think they're going to continue. What's been a pretty good season so far, 7-2. So we got the Raiders versus the Dolphins. I mean, this is a battle of the mid, but the Dolphins with Tua back now, they're looking all right. At least last game. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins for this one. The Rams versus the Patriots, another battle of the mid. Man, it's a hard one. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams are definitely, they're back. They've got, their stars back. They're starting to work them into the rotation more and more. Kyron Williams had a big game last week. So, yeah, I think the Rams, they're going to keep going. Browns versus the Saints. just another mid bowl. I don't know who to pick on this one. I'm probably going to go with the Saints. I think the Saints just overall probably have a better team performance. They had a good one last week, kind of getting back on track. So Derek Carr and them and company, they got to tighten up and really focus in here and go out there and get themselves a win. Colts versus the Jets. This is another hard one. I mean, you know me, I have a weird inkling to cheer for the Jets for some reason, even though they're absolute poverty. But the Colts are kind of self-destructing. I mean, Joe Flacco had a couple good games, but in the past few, he's really kind of been self-destructing. So it's kind of hard to pick for a team like that. It's kind of hard to pick either one of these teams. I'm going to keep voting for the Jets. Maybe if they win at some point, I'll be able to say, hey, look, I picked them. Ravens versus Steelers. Now, this is the matchup of the day for sure, almost guaranteed. I'm going to go with the Ravens because fuck the Steelers. That's my whole. I don't need any other reasoning. Fuck the Steelers. Pussies. Falcons versus Broncos at Mile High. Kirk Cousins really not looking great the past couple games. I think the Broncos might actually have a chance to take this, man. That team looks pretty good when they get rolling. If they're not absolutely stagnant, then they probably have a chance. Seahawks at 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers, man. C-Mac is back. The attack is super stacked. Let's see what they can do. Chiefs, Bills, another. I mean, listen, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills. Those are going to be your two games to watch. That's pudding certified. I think the Chiefs are going to win it, dude. They just keep finding ways to win, and the Bills are the Bills. Let's just hope no one dies this time or almost dies. Bengals versus Chargers. Once again, a battle of the upper mid. I think this is a game, Joe Burrow revenge game, question mark? Maybe. The Chargers, though, that's a hard team to stop. J.K. Dobbins and that offensive line, they've been really rocking, dude. Justin Herbert doesn't need to play football with this offense. It's insane. So, honestly, I'm going to have to – I think I got to take the Chargers. And Monday night, we have the Texans versus the Cowboys. I'm not even going to look at that. That was so sad. I'm so sad. Let's X that out. Texans versus Cowboys. Texans versus Cowboys. You know what? We'll save that game for the late show preview. For the late show. And we'll get that when I have Dr. Preston. All right, folks. I did it. That's a solo podcast. No one solo pods like pudding solo pods. That's a fact. Solo live stream. I win a podcast. It was a live stream. Anyways, doesn't matter. I did it. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on social media. Go find our Facebook, please. That'd be sick. We're trying to get to the point where we can stream on Facebook too. It just takes X amount of followers. We need your support. Trash Talk Tailgate loves you. We have great stuff in the works, so keep sticking around. I don't know how to say it. I know I say it a lot, but God, if it's just not true. It's been a great one. I got to get out of here, y'all. Peace.